I'd like to introduce these candidates, Leo Bowman and Thomas Moak. They are running for the Port of Kennewick District 1 Commissioner. Gene Wagner originally had planned to be here tonight. He called us yesterday to say he would be unable to attend, so we're going to proceed with Mr. Bowman and Mr. Moak. So, Mr. Bowman, I think we'll begin with you, and if you'd please give us your opening remarks.
Thank you, Kay. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Tri-City Herald, and as well Charter Communications, and as well you folks yourselves for coming tonight to attend and to watch. As your Port Commissioner, I will encourage regular workshop meetings between the commissioners and staff to create mutual visions for the port. We would then plan the strategies for the execution of these visions. I will encourage meetings between the commissioners and port staff, the city councils and their staff, as well as the community citizens, to help build these visions and provide regular progress reports. My personal mission will be to create a major return on investment for the port and taxpayers and the region as a whole. Your input will help ensure that port resources will be successfully managed and leveraged to their fullest potential. We could only do this in collaboration with the community by leveraging and enhancing partnerships and alliances and relationships that I have formed during my 16 years in public service as a Benton County Commissioner and during my 32 years as a small retail business owner here in the Tri-Cities. I have a demonstrated track record of providing a return on investment by successfully working in partnership with citizens, businesses, the state, and even the federal legislature. I have lived in Kennewick for 27 years and the city of Richland for 27 years in Kennewick and 17 years in Richland. I've owned my own business for 32 years and spent 16 years as a Benton County Commissioner. Because of these experiences, I understand the culture and the economy of our community and our region. During my time as a Benton County Commissioner, I built strong relationships with regional organizations such as the Yakima Indian Nation, the Red Mountain AVA Alliance, the Downtown Partnership, TRIDEC, the Tri-City Regional, and the West Richland Chamber of Commerce, the cities of Kennewick, Richland, and West Richland, and Burlington Northern Railroad. As a Port Commissioner, I will leverage the strength of these relationships for progress and the future of the citizens of the Port of Kennewick. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moak?
Hello, I'm Thomas Moak. I had the great honor to serve for 12 years on the Kennewick City Council, where I had leadership roles in downtown revitalization, waterfront redevelopment, tourism promotion, and job creation through economic development. I am absolutely passionate about running for the Port Commission because the Port of Kennewick has on its plate some very big transformational projects that specifically relate to my interests and background, and where I can make a difference in moving these projects forward. Waterfront development. The Port has shown some visionary work on Clover Island and at the Spalding Business Park at the Richland Y. I want to join an organization with this type of vision. Now, I want to see the stalled project along Columbia Drive come to pass, with shops and restaurants and housing and a sense of excitement that can revitalize an entire community. We need a plan with buy-in. Let's move forward. Vista Field Airport. How many years did it take before the Port Commission finally ordered a study that reported what many of us already suspected? The airport was too small, too hemmed in, too little used, and provided few jobs, and left you, the taxpayer, holding the bag. I want to be part of a Port Commission that creates jobs and a community focal point right smack dab in the center of the Tri-Cities. 100 acres of flat ground. We need to pull together government and business leaders. We need to tie this area to the entertainment district and the regional shopping center. And we need to listen to you, the people. After all, the port belongs to you. These next 6 years can be busy and productive for the Port of Kennewick and for the entire region. Let me use my experience to benefit you. I'm Thomas Moak.
Thank you. We'll begin our questions. We got one from the audience here that does deal with Vista Field. I will say, I'm sure we've all learned a lot about the Port of Kennewick candidates from the recent articles in the Tri-City Herald. And I think, Mr. Bowman, I'm going to start here with you. It is now a done deal to close Vista Field and pursue redevelopment in that location. Please give us some specifics on what you would like to see happen there, and we'd also like to know what steps need to be taken to ensure community input when planning this area. And I'm not trying to give you too much, but along the same lines, our audience member wants to know, how is this going to help when other counties are expanding and encouraging general aviation if we're closing Vista Field?
Well, on the last question first, there are lots of people who would love to have an airport, but the reality is, as already mentioned by Mr. Moak, that the results of the study that was actually done asking the question, what do we need to know? The commissioners asked that question, what do we need to know? And it needed to be shut down. I totally agree. It was just too little, too small. And with the airports we already have, with the one in the Port of Benton and the one in the Port of Pasco, that should serve our community quite well, I believe. On the issue of what specifically I would like to see, you kind of got an oxymoron when you asked what I want to see, and then you also at the same time, how do we provide for public input? And so the public input has started a long time ago about the shutting down of the airport, and it continues. I've attended meetings with the Young Professionals Association when they got together and did a lot for 3 hours. They talked and debated about what needed to be out there. And so until the public input process comes about, I'm not going to be very specific about what I envision to be there, other than a lot of multi-use kinds of things and not industrial services. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Moak?
I think when you look at Vista Field, I think you look at building the partnerships with the Public Facilities District, which is next door. You look at building with not only the city of Kennewick, but the city of Richland. You look at building with shopping centers. You look at transportation corridors. And then you start looking at what can that be. Yes, there's a very important part for the public to play in this. The port did a very good job in their shutdown proposal or whatever, and enlisting consultants that helped look at and encourage public input. Port needs to continue to encourage public input, and not just from people who have a specific vested interest in that area, but the whole public, and to think big and to raise their sights on what that could be as a central focal point. When you look at Port of Benton, you look at Port of Pasco and their airport, you very clearly see that they have opportunities to expand. Airports is a regional issue, and I think we ought to be supporting Port of Benton in their airport and the Port of Pasco in theirs, which are receiving FAA funding, which Vista never did, and making them successful. We all have to be successful, and we can be successful in different ways.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Moak, I'd like you to go first on this next question. In Monday's article in the paper, you expressed frustration with the current pace of Columbia Drive planning and redevelopment, noting that the port needs to move forward on a plan that has buy-in. Only you can answer what you meant by that, but I'm also going to have Mr. Bowman comment on it. What kind of vision do you have for proceeding with this redevelopment of Columbia Drive?
Well, one of the big issues I saw, and I spent 12 years on the city council, is that the Port of Kennewick and the city of Kennewick, especially their policymakers, were not meeting together and really talking about a joint vision, a shared vision for what Columbia Drive could be. We had the bridge-to-bridge program that the Downtown Association put together 10 years ago, really never got the buy-in either from the port or the city. The city's run a program, had consultants. The port has run a program and had consultants, and yet there's never been buy-in. And so I really do believe, and I think my background with the city and understanding some of their issues is getting our policymakers together, looking at how do we, I mean, the port does own a good chunk of land down there. What are the issues? What are the infrastructure issues? What are the financing issues? What are the opportunities? And instead of looking at are we different, look at where do we agree? And I do believe that it's going to take those two folks working together in order to make Columbia Drive successful. It hasn't happened yet. I think I can make it happen.
Thank you. Mr. Bowman?
Thank you. You know, the issue of Columbia Drive, I'm not sure that it's really ready, and typically that's indicated by a lack of action. And I believe Mr. Moak is absolutely right. And my proposal in my opening remarks was to get these folks together, the port staff and commissioners, the city councils, and their councilmen and their staffs, to get them together to talk about these things, to build a vision that we all have buy-in on, and to get it to move forward. So what it lacks yet, I don't know for sure what that is. I'm not that intimate with that detail, but I think there's probably something else. But if nothing else, it is the lack of shared vision.
Thank you. Since there's just two of you, I'm going to ask two more questions, so you each can go first. But I'm going to also ask that you only take a minute for your answers. So, Mr. Bowman, please go first. In Monday's article, you mentioned that you see the former Tri-City Raceway property as ideally situated once the Red Mountain interchange is funded and built. Ideally situated for what? Specifically, what type of development would you be supporting for this property?
Well, there is a development being proposed and funded, which is an industrial project which would take care of wine effluent, if you will, a new state-of-the-art sewer system, if you will, for wine products. And so that is an industrial type of an area. It is being shoveled off that way already, so I would continue to support that. I think it is very vital that the interchange come in and would definitely improve that area as well as the rest of the areas in West Richland.
Thank you. Mr. Moak?
Right now, the Tri-City Raceway's property is outside the urban growth boundaries of the city of West Richland. So right now, it can't be developed until West Richland is able to expand its urban growth boundaries to encompass that project. And so the city of West Richland is going through that process, and the port is working with them on that. But there's a lot of hurdles at the county level, at the state level before that happens. And then there is the interchange, and until really the interchange happens, I'm not sure that that property is going to be properly developed. So Mr. Bowman is correct that there is a plan to use that property, but I think there's a lot of steps that are going to have to take place before that is ever able to be used, and I'm not sure how close that's going to really be.
Thank you. Okay, here's the last question. In general, and Mr. Moak, I'll have you answer first. In general, Mr. Bowman has ties with Benton County, and Mr. Moak has ties with the city of Kennewick. Please comment on how, if you are the one elected, you could improve or enhance the working relationship between the port and Benton County, and between the port and the city of Kennewick.
I guess I would start with Benton County first. I remember going to a workshop in San Diego with Commissioner Beaver when he was mayor, and really a place-making workshop. And I think it was a game changer for both of us in terms of looking at what we can do. And I think my relationship with Commissioner Beaver over the 11 years that we served together is going to be very helpful in terms of looking at a lot of the issues that are between the port and the city. I've worked also certainly with a number of the city council members in Kennewick, and I think part of it is there's been a feeling that they haven't been heard, or they haven't, or that the issues between the port and the city, I think they're petty in comparison to the big issues that we have forward. And I think it's getting both parties to look ahead and look and not let the pettiness, which, I think sometimes that's what it is when you're dealing with politicians, and Leo and I are a couple of the best.
Thank you. Mr. Bowman?
Well, building relationships is something I'm very proud of. I've spent 16 years building relationships throughout the Northwest, even in the nation and across the nation. Relationships with Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which is a tough nut to crack, and CSX and UP, all the railroad companies. The Yakima Nation, I'm very well thought of by the Yakima Nation. In fact, I was given an award by the Columbia River Confederate group because of the work I've done for salmon recovery on the Yakima. So I've built relationships, and that's with the county. Obviously, I've been there and had a good relationship with the county commissioners across the state, as well as our own county commissioners here. And just building relationships, sitting down and talking about things, and understanding the other person's needs and points of view is how you build relations.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to closing statements, and Mr. Moak, please go first.
I view my government service as just one more opportunity to give back to the community. As a volunteer over more than 25 years, I've had leadership roles in the Kennewick Housing Authority, of which I am now chairman of the board, the Historical Society, the Red Cross, and Kiwanis, among others. For me, the Port Commission is not just another job, it's about improving a community. It's something I've done before and something where I can make a difference and benefit you. Please look at my website, thomasmoak.com, to learn more about me and my position on the issues that affect the port and affect you. My name is Thomas Moak. This campaign is all about vision, passion, and action. I would appreciate your vote by August 6th. Thank you.
Mr. Bowman?
The purpose of the Port of Kennewick is economic development, which in other words means jobs, family wage jobs. During recent meetings of a number of business people and as well doorbelling, I have heard many ideas and dreams for this community and for the port. These ideas support a future with opportunities for growth and economic stability. The port has many opportunities, such as Columbia Drive, such as Vista Field, Oak Street, Findlay, Southridge, West Richland, Richland Y, and Red Mountain. In order for their potential to be realized, these opportunities will require tenacious and experienced leadership. In closing, I am asking for your vote for Commissioner for the Port of Kennewick. I see the vision, I have the experience, I've built relationships, and I get things done. I look forward to serving you and the Port of Kennewick. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for joining us tonight. The candidates are again Leo Bowman and Thomas Moak. I meant to point out earlier, the position that they are running for is for a 6-year term. This is District 2. So thank you, gentlemen.